trip to Costa Rica sounds really relaxing and enjoyable and leisurely, right? Well, this one was not exactly any of those things. It was chock full of adventure. I was ziplining and rafting and cooking with the chef and mixing drinks and watching all sorts of crazy animals off the terrace. It was all about the Pura Vida. Take a look. Costa Rica and ziplining, it's a little like peanut butter and jelly. It really does just quite simply go together. So the concierge here put us in contact with Rigo at Three Monkeys Tours, and we set off on a Costa Rican adventure that is not to be forgotten anytime soon. Our zipline course consisted of 12 different sections, and the first one, of course, was pretty easy, and by the end, we had this really long stretch that I swear was like 2 minutes. So I was up on the platform, and my guide strapped me in, hooked me in, and said, all right, head first, arms out straight, just like Superman. So next thing I know, I'm zipping across the forest, head first, arms out front, screaming like crazy, having the time of my life. And it's like you could almost reach out and touch the trees. So as we're zigzagging back and forth across the Costa Rican jungle, you can look to the left and you see this breathtakingly beautiful waterfall. As you're zipping by, zing, 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 that's all you can hear as you're like whirling across the tops of all these trees. Rigo suggested we take a 25-minute hike back to La Danta, which was this beautiful waterfall. And it was a hike, I will tell you that right now. It was up and down and kind of over a little creek. But man, once we got there, the views, the scenery was absolutely breathtaking. La Danta is one of those places where you are instantaneously transported to a completely different place and time. At the Hotel Barranquilla Spa, you can do a steam bath and a mud bath all together and all outdoors. So with this volcano that's in the area, there are of course lots of natural hot springs and volcanic mud, and it's an outdoor spa, and you're walking through these paths and there's steam coming up from underneath and between the slats of the wood, and it's really this kind of mystical look and feel to the place. And as you walk a little closer, you hear this bubbling noise and you see this billowing amount of steam coming up out of the ground, and you look over the edge and there's this kind of grayish, muddy looking stuff, which is actually the mud that you use. And there are these big, tall vats of mud, and you just scoop some up with your hands and start to rub it all over you. So you're head to toe covered in mud. You let it dry for about 10 minutes, and then you hop into the shower, scrub it all off. After you rinse all the mud off, there are 3 separate pools that you want to spend some time in. So you get in, you soak a little bit in the really warm one, then you go get in the cold one. Then you get in the other one that's not so warm, then you get back into the cold one. And it is this amazing, natural Costa Rican spa experience that is unlike anything you've ever experienced before. With all the options here in Costa Rica, I decided to take a rafting trip down Rio Tenorio, and man, am I ever glad that I did. Getting to Rio Tenorio for this rafting trip was a little crazy, and I was beginning to kind of doubt this whole experience. But once we got off this bumpy, crazy road and off these teensy little bridges, got the raft into the water and got in and strapped in and helmets on and oars and life jackets and took off down the river, there was no turning back. And I had simply the time of my life. It was such an adrenaline rush that I really can't wait to go back and do it again. After taking my first Class 4 Rapid on the Rio Tenorio, I almost lost my cameraman, which is not a good thing to do when you're shooting a travel show story. Your cameraman is essential to the story. So we're rafting along and Jorge's like, paddle left, paddle right, everybody down. So we're down, our oars up, and he's like, okay, get up, get up, get up, get up. So I jump up, and the next thing I know, my cameraman's like hanging off the side of the raft, and it was like, Henry, get back, get back.
Thank you, gracias. Can't wait to see that on camera. There we go,
So Jorge says, all right, we have 3 drops. One's 4 feet, one's about 6 to 8, and then the last one is 12 feet. All I could think was that I've got to get over a 12-foot drop at the end of this river. Jorge told us that 80% of the people get thrown out of their rafts on this drop. And I looked to my cameraman and I said, we are gonna be part of the 20%. See if we made it. I didn't have to go very far to see wildlife on this trip. I just stepped outside on the terrace and voila, there they are. If you want to check out the monkeys off the terrace, grab those Leica binoculars and have at it. After a crazy day of river rafting and ziplining, or possibly some hot springs and some spa time, you come back to the residence and of course you are starving. And the best way to end a day here in Costa Rica is with Chef Nicolas and a scrumptious dinner.
We're going to make a very nice tuna tartare with avocado, fresh mango, wakame seed, the sesame seaweed, and then a little bit of truffle oil. Arugula is going to be very, very nice. And then we're going to make a red snapper fillet à la talla. À la talla means it's wrapped in a banana leaf. We're going to marinate it first with cilantro, tomatoes, lime juice, then wrapped in a banana leaf, baked in oven. And then we're going to make a very nice chocolate lava flow with a passion fruit coulis. It's going to be nice, on a little vanilla ice cream.
Are there any calories in smelling? This should have been the first course. And the last. Start and end with chocolate eggs, butter. Oh my gosh. All right. That is fabulous. So that's Costa Rica. What an adventure. I think I may go check into the spa.